All right, folks, hopefully you got a good chance to go after this. I usually won't give you this drawing. I'll just give you that and say you figure it out. So the drawing is sort of a helping hint there just to prompt you to do something. And hopefully you looked at this and said, well, if the cosine of an angle is 15 over 39, that means the adjacent side could be 15 and the hypotenuse could be 39. So hopefully you threw those on there in those positions if you use this drawing. Doesn't matter where you put A, but as long as you have 15 adjacent and 39 is your hypotenuse, you're going to get the right idea. Kind of got you thinking Pythagorean theorem in the last couple examples, hopefully. You could use Pythagorean theorem to find that missing side, and of course you would need to if you want to write the sine of the angle. You know, sine of A is the opposite side, big question mark, over the hypotenuse, so it's something over 39. That's something, little Pythagorean theorem, and you can find that something. Just make sure you've got c squared in the right spot. You don't do a squared plus c squared and add these two together. You're going to do some subtraction to find that. And you should definitely get a number smaller than 39, and it happens to be an integer. I was very nice to you. I gave you a Pythagorean triple. So that answer would be 36 over 39. And I know once you get that, the rest of it's pretty easy. That's the key step. Don't overlook the value of Pythagorean theorem and how it applies to trig. Tangent of A, that's obvious. That's your opposite over adjacent now, so that's 36 over 15. And I know you would never leave your answers like this because you know they're not reduced. Think about what number goes into both of these, or what number goes into both of these, and you can reduce these fractions in simplest form, as I would expect you to do on a test or a quiz. So divide them both by 3. 36 divided by 3 is 12, and 39 divided by 3 is 13. And this one kind of the same thing. 3 goes into 15 5 times, 3 goes into 36 12 times, and you're good. So those are the reduced answers that I'm looking for, simplified answers. Same thing on this one. I don't know if I gave this on your paper, but I'm not going to give you a triangle. You can create your own triangle if you think that helps. I would recommend doing it for 95% of you. It's going to make the problem a lot easier. The sine of A, some random angle A, is 1/2. You do not have to find the actual value of A. I want exact answers on this. It doesn't say anything about rounding on here. Don't round your answers. If you gave me an approximated answer, I might give you half credit on a test, but definitely not full credit. I want an exact answer for the cosine of A and then the tangent of A. Hopefully that gets you thinking, okay, I better draw a triangle, I better put A on there, and I better put 1 opposite of A, and I better put 2 as my hypotenuse. Some of you, there might be a bell going off in your head and going, wait a minute. The hypotenuse and the short leg are a 1:2 ratio. Yes, the triangle happens to be very special. That's not going to be 3, that's going to be rad 3. So there's the key step on there. Either Pythagorean theorem to get that. 1 squared plus x squared equals 4 by squaring that, and you realize it's going to be rad 3. Or you just go, hey, wait a minute, special triangle. They love to show up. And now cosine of A is pretty easy. That's your adjacent over your hypotenuse. So that's rad 3 over 2. Tangent of A is just a little bit messier. That's the opposite of where you put A. So 1 over the adjacent over the rad 3. And at this point, I'm hoping you're getting pretty good at this. And of course, we would never leave that the way it is. We'd simplify that by multiplying the top and the bottom by rad 3. And you get rad 3 over 3. There's a simplified answer for that one. Exact simplified answer. So you're going to see answers. This is the exact answer. If you did this with a calculator, you might get some messy decimal, which I don't want to see. But this is how you get the exact answers. Apply Pythagorean theorem wherever you can. Same idea on the next one. Tangent of B, I'm going to give it to you. It's 3. You figure out sine of B and the cosine of B. I recommend the drawing. You don't have to do it. Sketching a triangle helps, but it doesn't make it mandatory on there. And the only thing that's a little tricky on this is I'm not giving you, it appears that I'm not giving you a fraction here. So it appears like I'm only giving you one side. But think about this. If I give you the tangent of B, I'm actually giving you 2 different sides. I'm giving you the opposite side, and I'm also giving you the adjacent side. So you'd probably throw a 3 over here. Think about 3 is over what number below this? Well, you know it's 3 over 1. Because this, any number can be just made into a fraction. So even though that's an integer, technically it's 3 over 1. So there's your 2 legs. You can quickly find your hypotenuse. 1 squared plus 3 squared gives you 10. which means that hypotenuse is rad 10. And again, I'd like these answers exact. You don't have to find the measure of angle B to do any of this. This doesn't ask you for the measure of angle B. It asks you for a ratio, specifically the sine ratio for angle B. So that would be your opposite over your hypotenuse, and nobody would ever leave that the way it is. You'd multiply the top and the bottom by rad 10. Hopefully get 3 rad 10 over 10. And the same thing on the bottom one. Cosine of B would be your adjacent side divided by your hypotenuse. You'd never leave a radical in the denominator there. Multiply top and bottom by rad 10, and you get rad 10 over 10. So hopefully those answers sound good. The last few examples on them I'm going to put in part 4. They're definitely a little tricky. This is 1.5. Just to give you a hint on there, 1.5 is sort of a messy way to look at this. When you're talking about sine and cosine and tangent, you're talking about ratios. Think about this as a ratio. What is 1.5 as a ratio? What's another way to write 1.5? And then talk about why it doesn't make sense. Not why your calculator doesn't do anything for you. Why does the calculator not give you a value that makes sense? Why can't you look up that number in the table? What does sine mean, and what does this 1.5 mean, and why does it not make any sense? Come back in part 4 to kind of show you that.